Hello everyone, my name is NAJLAA PUTRIHERVA WIDODO and I'm from Factual and Discursive Reading, Class E. Here I am going to give you some book report of my favorite book. My favorite book is Lolita by Vladimir Nabokov. So let's get started. First of all, before starting this book report, so I'm gonna warning you, this video contains content that some may find disturbing. Viewer distraction is advised. So next. Okay, Lolita by Vladimir Nabokov. Lolita is the confession of a white widowed male named Humbert, a literature professor in his late 30s. Obsessed with a 12-year-old Dolores Hayes, a 1955 novel written by Russian-American novelist Vladimir Nabokov. Lolita is Humbert's private nickname for Dolores when Humbert became her stepfather. The novel was originally written in English and first published in Paris in 1955 by Olympia Press. Later it was translated into Russian by Nabokov himself and published in New York City in 1967 by Pedra Publishers. This is the book cover of Lolita. Okay, the next one is the synopsis. The novel's forward, the fictional John Ray Jr., Ph.D., explained the strange story that will follow. According to Ray, he received the manuscript entitled Lolita, The Confession of a White Widow Male, from the author's lawyer. The author himself, known by the pseudonym of Humbert or HH, died in jail of coronary thrombosis while awaiting a trial. Humbert relates his peaceful upbringing on the Riviera, where he encounters his first love, the 12-year-old Annabelle Lee. Annabelle and the 13-year-old Humbert never consummate their love, and Annabelle's death from typhus 4 months later haunts Humbert. Although Humbert goes on to a career as a teacher of English literature, he spends time in a mental institution and works as a succession of odd jobs despite his marriage to an adult woman, which eventually fails. Humbert remains obsessed with sexually desirable and sexually aware of young girls. These nymphets, as he calls them, remind him of Annabelle, though he fails to find another one like her. So next, Lolita. The novel is notable for its controversial subject, the sexual assault of a 12-year-old American girl named Dolores Hayes by a middle-aged French literature professor under the fake name Humbert. The novel is narrated by Humbert. You must remember that this novel is from Humbert's point of view, who riddles the narrative with word play and his right observation of American culture. The novel's flamboyant style is characterized by double entendres, multilanguage puns, anagrams, and coinages such as nymphet. Humbert is a monster of incuriosity. Nabokov himself described Humbert as a vain and cruel wretch and a hateful person. So, Lolita quickly became a classic status. The novel was adapted into film by Stanley Kubrick in 1962. This is the poster of the first film by Stanley Kubrick in 1962. And another film by, this is the poster, Adrian Lyne in 1997. So this is the second movie in 1997 by Adrian Lyne. So the cast is Jeremy Irons as Humbert, Dominic Swain as Lolita, and Melanie Griffith as Charlotte Hayes. So I'm gonna give you the trailer of the second movie in 1997. So enjoy it!
Monsieur Humbert.
Mrs. Hayes.
Charlotte. my low.
Beautiful.
From Vladimir Nabokov's masterpiece.
She'll do anything you say. She's getting a thing about you.
And from director Adrian Lyne.
Who's the lassie? It's my daughter. You lie. She's not. What? You said July was hot.
Okay, that's the trailer of the 1997 by Adrian Lyne, cast Jeremy Irons, and then next we have Lolita 1962, the first movie of Lolita, by Stanley Kubrick, of course, the legendary Stanley Kubrick. Cast James Mason as Humbert, Sue Lyon as Lolita, and Shelley Winters as Charlotte Hayes. And this is the trailer of this first movie. So enjoy it!
Lolita.
Lolita.
How did they ever make a movie of Lolita?
How did they ever
Movie of...
How did they ever
How did they make a movie of Lolita?
make a movie of
So how is it? It's fun, right? I think the first movie in 1962 is more comedic, is more refreshing than the second one in 1997 because that movie was so dark. So if you don't like a dark movie about abusive relationship or pedophilia or about sexual abuse of children, do not watch the second movie. You watch the first one. Next one is why I choose this book. I choose this book because it is my favorite book. The book is very interesting with how Humbert affects us, makes us think that Lolita is a love story, makes us think that he didn't force Lolita to do that, but instead chose him. I told you Lolita is not a love story. It is not a love story. With his writing, it remains beautiful and persuasive. Well, I once again emphasize that Lolita is not a love story. No child in this world should be treated how Dolores was done by Humbert. She was just a child, an orphan, and Humbert ruthlessly took advantage of it for himself. Okay, I fell in love with the way this book was written. The vocabulary, the meaning of the words, the metaphor are so beautiful and very well written. There are so many words in this book that I often quote, such as this one. So I'm gonna read it to you. The first one is, this is the first line in the first chapter in the book. Lolita, light of my life, part of my loins, my sin, my soul. So this book has audiobook and read by Jeremy Irons. So ladies and gentlemen, Jeremy Irons.
Lolita, light of my life, fire of my loins, my sin, my soul. Lolita, the tip of the tongue taking a trip of 3 steps down the palate to tap at 3 on the teeth. Lolita. She was low, plain low in the morning, standing 4 feet 10 in one sock. She was Lola in slacks. She was Dolly at school. She was Dolores on the dotted line. But in my arms, she was always Lolita.
The second one is the ending from the book. This is the ending of the book. So I'm sorry if I spoil too much to you. Spoiler alert. So I'm gonna read it a few of this. I like this one line. And this is the only immortality you and I may share, my Lolita. This is such a good line. I love it. And once again, read to you by Jeremy Irons, ladies and gentlemen.
Neither of us is alive when the reader opens this book. But while the blood still throbs through my writing hand, you are still as much part of blessed matter as I am. And I can still talk to you, from here to Alaska. Be true to your dick. Do not let other fellows touch you. Do not talk to strangers. I hope you will love your baby. I hope it will be a boy. That husband of yours, I hope, will always treat you well, because otherwise my spectre shall come at him like black smoke, like a demented giant, and pull him apart nerve by nerve. And do not pity CQ. One had to choose between him and HH, and one wanted HH to exist at least a couple of months longer so as to have him make you live in the minds of later generations. I'm thinking of aurochs and angels, the secret of durable pigments, prophetic sonnets, the refuge of art. And this is the only immortality you and I may share, my Lolita.
Wow, that was such a beautiful voice of Jeremy Irons. I love Jeremy Irons. Okay, next. The next one is the pages of my favorite. This one is the page 170. As I quote, "And I shall be dumped where the wheat decays and the rest is rust and stardust." It means that no matter what he does, it will end the same way. He'll die and everything will return to the universe as rust and stardust. This one is page 169. As I quote, "Wanted, Dolores Hayes, hair brown, lips scarlet, age 5,300 days, profession none or starlet. Where are you hiding, Dolores Hayes? Why are you hiding, darling? I talk in a daze, I look in a maze, I cannot get out," said the starling. This page, Humbert write a poem for Dolores after she ran away with Claire Quilty in the hospital. Spoiler alert again. Next. When Dolores disappeared, he pens a poem beginning with, as I quote, wanted Dolores Hayes, of Humbert's manipulative tactics, casting himself as the passive victim, like playing victim, contrasting reality using the power of nomenclature. Then Humbert moves on to describe the color of Dolores' hair, as I quote, hair brown, end quote. But instead of another helpful identifying piece of information, for example, the color of her eyes, he cannot resist but to insert a sexualized detail of her body, like lips scarlet. To readers, the classic image of red lips cannot maturity, sex appeal, and the glossy covers of magazine, not the image of a young girl. Then Humbert writes, age 5,300 days, end quote, and in purposefully using days instead of conventionally years, further masking his lover's youth and innocence. So Humbert purposely using the days of Dolores' age because he doesn't want to everyone know that his lovers is a young girl. So he make her old. So next, my opinion about this book. Lolita forced readers to empathize with a character they will not have. When someone is accused of committing a horrendous act, people oftentimes are quick to judge that individual. When confronted with such horrible news, it is so much easier to insensitively assign blame instead of trying to understand the situation and hear from all possible sides. In these cases, it is hard to practice one's empathy and try to view the accused as another human being. However, one of the important functions of reading literature is to challenge us not to follow our impulsive desire for simplicity. Reading is challenge of empathy as it exposes the reader to many complex characters in just as complex situations. Reading Lolita is no different and may be the quintessential example. Reading Lolita is no different and may be the quintessential example of this call for empathy. After all, Humbert is an older man who has a sexual relationship with a young teenage girl, underage teenage girl, someone who has heard about but not personally read Lolita might say, "Oh, the main character is a pedophile. Lolita is an underage temptress. What can we possibly learn from something so gross?" Maybe nothing. Though I don't think this is the case. Well, maybe something. But one will never know if one does not to open themselves up to the possibility of empathizing with someone who represents an affront to their ideals and principles. Next, but once again, this is not a love story. Although I mentioned that Lolita is like a love letter turned into a novel, it is definitely not a love story. Lolita is about an abusive relationship, but it's very subtle about it, and the subtlety is important. Readers should give Lolita a try because the novel is such an excellent example of how abusive people in relationships are not always those obviously bad monsters, but charming seducers who seek to take advantage of the sympathy of the others. Lolita demonstrates that some of the ugliest truths are hidden in the most beautiful lies. Although it is not explicitly stated in the novel, the ugly truth is that Lolita is the victim of an emotionally abusive relationship. The beautiful lies are the flowery words that Humbert uses to manipulate the reader into sympathizing with him. Such amazing, beautiful written book that tackle important themes such as obsession, manipulation, and abusive relationship. Anyone who disregards Lolita simply because of preconceived notion of the novel is doing themselves a disservice. Lolita is an extremely worthwhile read, and I have written down several reasons why you should seriously consider reading it. Because it was so good, the Lolita book. That's why this book is my favorite book ever.
Okay, the last one. If you have any reservations about reading Lolita because of the controversial things you heard about it, you still give Nabokov's classical literature shows us perspective that we normally will not consider, and being open-minded is a great thing. However, being suckered into accepting a false narrative is not. So, seemingly paradoxical, Lolita is able to bring out both empathy and discernment in readers, all the while using romantic prose that truly demonstrates the art of literature.
And that's all from me. I hope you can understand what I mean to tell you about this book report, because there are so many children out there. Something like this is we have to open our mind, because we have to look at the children. So many children like Lolita in this situation, and I hope that we can help them. We open their mind, we can awareness about this, and we can help them. Once again, thank you very much for watching this, and I hope you have a great day. Thank you. Bye bye.